Hello all heroes and welcome back to Invincible Guarding the Globe, and today we're going to be doing what I'm referring to as Intermediate Guide Part 1 for upgrading heroes. Just recently we did have the Beginner's Guide for the game if you're a new player, just starting fresh. That kind of gave you some tips and tricks. Feel free to go back to that video, give it a watch, let me know if it helps you out. Today, we're going to be focusing on some slightly more advanced tips and tricks to upgrade your heroes as fast and efficiently as possible, including but not limited to leveling them up with XP and then increasing their levels with rank ups. And the rank ups are a biggie, because when you first start the game, ranking up is very, very intimidating, but we will cover that. So, we're going to get right into it here. You will notice that most characters start out purple. There's a lot of colors in this game that they can crank up to. You got orange, you got red, you got gray, you got gold. There's a lot. So let's get into it here. If we take a peek at, let's take a peek at Angstrom here. Mr. Angstrom Levy. He currently starts out at an elite. A lot of characters do start out at elite. You'll notice there are a lot of levels. Basically, the way to increase a character's max level is two things: getting copies of said character, and foddering off characters of the same faction into that character. What do I mean by that? Well, let's see if we can get a halfway decent example here. Let's take a look at our criminals. Let's take a look at our criminals here. We have Mr. Isotope here. He is currently an Elite Plus. To get an Elite Plus Isotope, I needed to have two Elite Isotopes, and I combined them together. To level him up from Elite Plus to Exceptional, you can put in any Elite Plus character of the same faction, and that will get him powered up to Exceptional. And then we need an Exceptional Isotope to crank him up to Exceptional Plus. So basically two of the same. It's like, okay, it makes sense so far. Then after this point, if we wanted to get him to Epic, which we most certainly do not, because he is not worth it. Right now, Exceptional Plus is good for fodder. I'm going to need that in the future. But we will not be powering him up anymore. But if we wanted to, we would need two more Elite Plus characters to get him up to Epic. And then an Exceptional Plus Isotope to crank him up to Epic Plus. Is your brain melting yet? If it is, you're not alone, because now we have stars. Once you get them up to Exceptional Plus, which is the orange one, then stars become a factor. For stars, you need Elite Plus copies of the character. So for example, Powerplex here, I've got him up to 2 stars. If I wanted a 3rd star, I would need another Elite Plus Powerplex to get him up to 3 stars. Then another Elite Plus for 4 stars, and another Elite Plus for 5 stars. Now, that's where it stops, because to get him from Epic Plus 5 stars to the next rarity tier, which is Legendary, the red one, that one, you need 2 Exceptional Plus characters of that faction. They don't have to be Powerplexes. In fact, I would recommend not to use Powerplex if you wanted to get him powered up. But they can be anybody of that faction, in this case being the criminal faction. Once you fodder off those 2 Exceptional Plus characters into your Epic Plus 5-star Powerplex, he becomes a Legendary Powerplex. Now, how do you get Legendary Powerplex up to Legendary Plus? You need an Exceptional Plus Powerplex. Yeah, it's a lot. It's a whole lot. And then once you've done that, guess what? You need more Elite Plus Powerplexes to get them up to the stars. It is intimidating. it is particularly intimidating when you first look at it and when you're starting out, because it does require an unholy amount of fodder. That's why events like new character events and faction events are so important, because they give you a plethora of characters that you can not only build, but also use as fodder. Now, speaking of fodder, if you've played idle games before, there's two sets of characters. There's your elite characters, and there's your rare characters, aka the fodder characters. Most, if not all, of the rare characters are underpowered and typically used as fodder. Now, way back when the game first came out, I gave the advice that you should not use elite characters to power up your roster. No, scrap that. Totally scrap that. You can 150% use elite characters, and frankly, I'd recommend it because, like, let's take a peek at our GDA faction here. I am not gonna give a lick of love to Bulletproof outside of what I've already done, so I'm gonna absolutely use this Bulletproof as fodder. This robot, as amazing as Robot is, I've already got Robot where I want him. I've got him up to Omnipotent Plus, even with 1 star. So I'm going to use my Robot as fodder. Cecils I will not be using as fodder because I need the Cecils to build up my Cecil. And that's the kicker. You want to identify which characters you're building and save those for when you specifically need them. If you're building a robot, don't just burn robots willy-nilly to get him powered up until you actually need your Exceptional Plus robots or your Elite Plus robots. So that once you do get him to, like, let's say Epic Plus, then you've got a nice stockpile of robots that you can boom, boom, boom start him up so that you can start working on getting him up from Epic to Legendary. Like I've kind of got for Shrinking Ray here if I wanted to power her up. We currently would need 2 Exceptional Plus GDA characters to get her to Legendary. And then after that, I would need more Shrinking Rays. So you can absolutely, positively use elite characters. Now, you could try to go the Puritan route of never using elites, but you're in for a world of pain if you try to play the game that way, because you need a lot of fodder characters to get them powered up. Because I haven't really talked about the rare characters, but they're almost worse, because to crank up a rare character to rare plus, you need 3 of that character. And then to crank up a rare plus character to elite, you need 2 more rare plus characters. Meaning just to get an elite rare character, you need 9 total rare characters. Building up these duplicates has been hell. It has been just the worst. I mean, I kind of do it for the memes, but it truly has been just the worst building up duplicates, because it requires an unholy number of duplicates and other rare characters. So it's recommended to use the elite characters that you don't want to build up the elite characters that you do want. Don't be stingy. Don't worry about it too much. There are a couple that you might want to pump the brakes on a little bit. Like, some of these characters are a little more premium. Hula, Lucan, Anissa, Agent Spider, Cecil. Darkwing 2 you can use. Darkwing 2 just kind of sucks. You can use Darkwing 2 for fodder all you want. I think that's totally fine. But some of the more premium characters, you might want to just kind of keep them on reserve just in case. Like, for my Earth's Defenders faction, I have no shortage of Agent Spiders that I could use to power up like my Adam Eve, but I'm saving them to actually build up my Agent Spider, even though I'm not really using him right now, because Agent Spider is a slightly more rare character. Now, why do you want to go through all the trouble of ranking up these characters? Because it is a bit of a hassle. Levels. That's why. Every single rank up gives you plus 20 levels. Take a peek at this Elite Plus Omni-Man here. His highest level is 160. If we take a peek at this Exceptional Cecil, it's 180. Take a peek at this Exceptional Plus Isotope, 200. You get where I'm going with this. Every single rank up, in addition to increasing your stats, which is noteworthy, will give you an extra 20 to your max level. And theoretically, there is no limit. Once you get up to Omnipotent Plus, which of course is the top, Omnipotent Plus's max level is 660. They really like those 606 numbers. It's a little odd, a little sus. But then every time you feed them another Exceptional Plus copy of themselves, like in this case would be an Exceptional Plus Universa, it increases their levels by another 20 and gives them an Omnipotent Plus star. That's a stretch goal. That's where we're getting to expert territory on that one. Don't worry about that right now. Frankly, most characters, I like to get them up to Omnipotent Plus, where the max level is 660, and call it a day. Because that's just the most efficient, and at that point, they're fully functional. So, yeah, you don't have to go crazy like I've done with some of these top characters. Maybe for like your top arena team, you can invest a little bit more in them. But when you're ranking up characters, just take them up to Omnipotent Plus and be done with it. That's the most efficient way. Now, when you're leveling up characters, as you're getting those level ups, you will see that every 20 levels, there is a breakpoint where it requires a higher number of the blue hero XP and the pink special XP. Now, that can be a pretty massive breakpoint if you don't have those resources. And the majority of those resources you're going to get from either GDA Ops or Cecil's Nightmares. Both of those are your main sources. But here's an important tip. You might notice something here with some of my characters. My Doc Seismic's max level is 660. I've stopped him at 659. Because all of the breakpoints are at 9s. Like 659, but the breakpoint for that was 639. And the breakpoint is not 660. And yes, that is like driving a steak knife through my OCD, but it is so not worth it to get him to the max level and spend the egregious amount of XP and special XP just to get him from 659 to 660. It's a terrible investment, because at that point, it's almost trying to bait you into feeding them another Exceptional Plus to get the other 19 of those levels that you use so much special XP for. But that's the problem, is it's a repeating cycle, because let's say like, for example, this robot, let's say I did get him all the way up to 679. Well, guess what? Same thing. You've still got one level that you could get. But then if you spend special XP on that, that's another 19 levels that you're not going to be able to get easy peasy unless you give them another Exceptional Plus. It's weird. Of all the factors of this game that I love, and there are quite a few, this one has always been odd. I have always said that this game needs some kind of a synchronization feature, not unlike AFK Arena or Nikkei, where everybody kind of levels up as one. But unfortunately, to create that feature, they'd have to, like, literally overhaul the entire game? And, okay, yeah, they're probably not going to do that, let's be real here. So, yeah. So, what's my advice to you? Don't worry about getting to that very last little one, and with the exception of maybe your top 5 arena team, stop at Omnipotent Plus. That will keep you plenty busy just trying to get your characters up that high. Don't worry about the stars. You don't need a 19-star Universal like what I've got. If you decide to go that route, it's incredibly helpful, I can say from experience. But you don't need it. So I'm going to leave it at that for now as far as upgrading characters. In part 2 of the intermediate guide, I think we're going to start going over actual skill upgrades, because that's its own thing, and that's a video in and of itself. So we're going to worry about that in the coming days, but for now we're going to leave it at that with your XP level ups and your rank ups. Let me know down in the comments below if that helped you out. If you have any questions, feel free to go either to the comment section of this video or go to the Discord, because this admittedly is a complicated feature. I will not deny it. Once you do kind of start to get into your rhythm, you start doing events, you start doing the GDA ops that give you characters, it gets easier. It does get easier as you get more experience, as you get more muscle in your team, and they have created exponentially more ways to get characters. In the beginning of the game, it was dire. Nowadays, though, it's better. It's not nearly as bad nowadays. Once you kind of figure out the rhythm, you'll get it. Usually every weekend there's a GDA op that gives you some freebies every 4 hours, based on like a faction. There's events that'll give you free characters, even if you don't spend gems or money, that you can usually squeak out some freebies. There are ways to get characters in the various events, and just as you get more into the game. So take it slow. Don't be panicked. Don't feel like it's a race to get to your first Omnipotent Plus character. It's not. This is a marathon, not a race. Patience is a virtue in this game. Trying to be impatient will have you either torturing yourself or spending dramatically more money than you should. So just take it slow. It's an idle game. They're meant to be slow. Well, actually, they're meant to make you spend money to speed it up. But if we're discounting that, they're meant to be slow. Take it slow. Take it easy, and hey, when you do start getting your Omnipotent Plus characters, enjoy them, because you've earned it. You built them up, you got them there, you did good. But we're going to leave it at that. Let me know down in the comments below if this video helped you out, and we shall see you next time. Have a good one.